the topic of this symposium, which is what we can do with innovation. It is very, very essential, as we've been saying, that we get into that shift of paradigm and move on to innovation. The topic of this symposium, innovation for achieving sustainable development. And when it comes to technologies, some of you might not be aware of this, Atlantic International University prides itself in being among the few pioneers of online education. We've been very proactive about it when in the late 1990s, some of you were not even born yet, probably, but this is back then that we decided to get into that field, which many other universities and institutions have embarked on that bandwagon, so to speak. So yes, this is the topic that our next presenter, Dr. Victor Chanza, is going to tackle. He's a doctor of legal studies from Zambia. He will present on the innovation of the technology of Atlantic International University for education in the African continent. Your turn now, Dr. Victor Chanza. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hossein, Dr. Lamberti, and the presentation by Professor Menda was very, provocative. He's my former lecturer, so I had now to concede a bit of some time to ensure that he responds to some of the critical issues that were to be answered. Where we have reached right now is a situation where, technology becomes the pinnacle nearly to all businesses that are actually going on. Be it the academia, whether it's in the business portfolios, everywhere we are talking about technology, and the incoming of artificial intelligence has also brought its own challenges and also a good way of how basically we are people and how organization ought to respond to these issues which we might have not been paying particular attention to. Now, there are two issues. Actually, there are two presentations. Now, I don't know which one I should be able to do. Dr. Lambert. Okay, thank you. The presentation that I should have been doing, the one that Dr. Lambert actually did mention, I agreed Dr. Lambert that I should be able to it, I think, in the next symposium, which should be coming in quite shortly back in September. So allow me to deal with the presentation on innovation to achieve a sustainable development vis-a-vis environmental management. We are looking at sustainable development in a different facet, because we are coming out from a sporadic situation where very little attention has been paid regarding to how you and I, or how we are keeping, or how we are looking at the environment. I'm sure people can easily relate how they don't care whether what it has got an effect on the environment or not. Also, how to look at nature and fauna. Second slide, Dr. Lambert. Dr. Lambert, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I changed the slide.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, a hole in the wall, what is it? What is that? When you talk about tourism and sustainable development, actually, talking about the three pillars of sustainability, and this is one of the United States Sustainable Development Goals, which I'm sure you are able to agree with me, say that there is SDGs that become very much paramount. And we are talking in about responsible tourism. So if you're talking about responsible tourism, the question is, whose responsibility? We'll be able to look at the system's approach to responsible tourism, and then we'll look at the summary, then the case study for Zambia, and how we have been able to maneuver all around. Another slide, Dr. Lambert. Next slide, Dr. Lambert.
Yeah, the slide is on. The new slide is on.
Oh, thank you. Now, according to the world, United Nations, it has been estimated that this experience out 1.5 billion to 2030. What does this mean for the tourism industry? What impact does growth have on the economy, society, and also the environment? We are talking about the global wicked sustainability challenges. We're talking about a new approach solving in these challenges. The sustainability in industry and into
Okay.
Are you with us, Dr. Chenza? Wow, are we losing Dr. Chenza, which would be very unfortunate. Dr. Chenza is talking, of course, about the drivers for sustainability in the world of tourism. We're talking about tourism industry. We have momentarily lost Dr. Victor Chanza. And you can see the slide that Dr. Lambert projected on your screen. One essential question being raised is, what does it mean, sustainability for the tourism industry? What impact does this growth have on the economy, on society, on the environment? There are some challenges, and I assume that this is where Dr. Chenza was trying to get into, the challenges that people have to overcome when it comes to acquire that sustainability in the tourism industry. And a term that Dr. Chenza has used in his slide is the adjective wicked, meaning that the challenges are so overwhelming that sometimes it doesn't appear that solutions would be easily reachable. So we're not sure whether we're going to be able to resolve the issue of access for Dr.
I'm back.
Chenza. Yeah, we've lost you for a good bit of time, Doctor. Are you back with us now?
Yes, but I'll be very quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I will be very quick to allow more questions.
Okay.
Dr. Lambert, we can go to another slide.
We're there, Dr.
Okay.
Chenza.
Thank you so much. Now, when you talk about the sustainable development, we are saying that sustainable development is the development that meets without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. I'm sure you can be able to see those beautiful quotes that you're able to see, the pictures and so forth. We had a wonderful time with, Dr. Lambert. We visited that premises that you are seeing. That place is real. We had some training workshop there. So you can tell nature responds. If you look after the environment very well, it will respond. If the environment is being affected, it will respond. The next slide, Dr. Lambert. What are these three pillars of sustainability? You have, society, you need the economy, and you need the environment. And all these three, they give you sustainability. In the absence of one, you can't have sustainable development in the environmental management where a society has not been taken care of. And if the economy is dwindling, it is not providing the basic amenities to the community, which is society itself, it presents itself quite a big challenge. And if the environment itself, again, has also been polluted, you can't talk about sustainability. You can also not talk about economy because the environment itself would have not responded to the economical needs because of the way how the situation might have presented itself. So if the environment, society, and the economy, all these facets have been differentialized by we, the human beings. They cannot give us a sustainable development under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide, Dr. Lambert.
With there, Dr. Chanza.
So if you look at the three pillars of economy, you talk about revenue generation. Yes, Dr. Valsin.
Yeah, I was telling you that the new slide that you requested is there on your screen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So when you look at the pillars of sustainability, now you have economy. You have the economy. You need the revenue generate prosperity. And there is this innovation that we are talking about right now. And you also have the new markets. In terms of society, you will have increased the traffic, meaning that a lot of things will be happening. Crime, there will be a
Again, it's very unfortunate, ladies and gentlemen, that the signal coming from Dr. Victor Chanza proves to be not reliable at all. Every once in a while, there are loss of packets of information, like we know the term in the world of computer networking. And this is a very, very unfortunate event, unfortunate twist of event, as Dr. Chenza, we can assume, was fairly ready for his presentation. He was about to provide some...
The land degradation, about
Dr. Victor is abounding with additional details about what he calls the three pillars of sustainability, the economy, society, and the environment. And by the way, as we are really losing Dr. Chenza, or we cannot apparently expect to have a very clear or good signal to maintain the contact with Dr. Chenza, we can make some comments about what it means to have sustainability in the tourism industry, thinking about the three components that he was talking about. There is a need to have a strong economy, another need to have a society that is really functioning adequately, properly. The five elements that he mentioned, there has to be some ease of transportation. The crime rate has to be low. or inexistent completely, if that is something that we can achieve. Also regulations to avoid exploitation, and when it comes to customs, as we are again talking about transportation, all this pertaining to the component of the second pillar, society, to really reach sustainability. And then the factor of the environment, the emission, the waste, the pollution, the degradation of land, the loss of elements in biodiversity, the availability of good water. Those are elements that must be taken into account if we really want to have tourism that is sustainable now in 2022 and also for the future. I don't know if any one of you, ladies and gentlemen, wants to make a comment or add whatever you want, since this is a symposium that is being organized by Atlantic International University for you. And if anyone happens to be knowledgeable in the world of tourism, and you understand the correlation between sustainability and tourism, you can join us for a comment, or if you want to ask a question, even if we are losing Dr. Victor Chanza, anyone among us,
I'm back.
Just jump in. Very good news, Dr. Chenza. I was making some comments about your three pillars, but welcome to continue then with your presentation, please.
Thank you so much. Dr. Lambert, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Lambert is with us. For the next slide, Dr. Lambert, apparently.
Yes, I am here. Ready for the next slide?
In an event, I'm out. I'm sure Dr. Lambert, you and I, we know we have, worked together. So in an event, the system is, keeping me off and out. You can still, take it. Now we are talking about a very, beautiful picture. Look at that picture. See cost, sustainable tourism. So what does sustainable tourism mean? So this sustainable tourism development meets the needs of the present tourism and host regions while protecting and enhancing opportunity for the future. It is emphasized as leading to management of resources in such a way that economic, social, and artistic needs can be fulfilled while maintaining cultural integrity, essential ecological processes, biological diversity, and life support systems. That's according to the United Nations World Trade Organization in 2005.
In 2005.
So you can see the beauty about sustainable tourism, meaning that we need to ensure that whatever we do, we need to include all the, Dr. Lambert.
And Dr. Chanza, I turned off your video so you'll have better bandwidth in your connection to the internet. So we will listen to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And that will probably keep you from being disconnected.
Okay, thank you. Now, those are the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, where, we get to know that in the absence of this sustainable development, it becomes very, difficult for us basically to meet some of these SDGs. And particularly, whatever we are trying to achieve at the end of the day, these SDGs, they have got a
Let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that you are
connection to having in a right to about this sustainable development. If the human rights have not been protected, how can you talk about animals are not more important than ours?
What you are looking at is the summary of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals for the year 2030, pretty much like I was stating at the very beginning of this event today. We are 8 years from the end of this timeline set by the United Nations. So we are not really sure whether we'll be able to reach our those goals, those 17 sustainable goals. But we are working very hard, and this is the context of Dr. Victor Chanza's presentation about the relationship between that concept of sustainability and the world of tourism. Tourism is an industry which is actually alive virtually everywhere on planet Earth. Of course, in some countries it is more developed than in some others, but everybody relies indeed on that industry. And this is why Dr. Chenza is or was emphasizing the need to work very, very diligently on those three pillars of sustainability for industry. Let me remind you that those three pillars are society, the economy, and environment at large. Dr. Lambert has decided to
Thanks a lot, Dr.
We apparently are getting Dr. Chenza back, but that's very, 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 very unfortunate that things are getting a twist of events for today. We've never had it that bad, if you recall Dr. Lambert and other participants, but this is technology. Things happen, and we simply have to brace for trouble, and whenever trouble strikes, we always have a plan B to manage. Dr. Chenza, are you with us again?
Yes, I'm back. I'm sure for the purpose of time and also leaving in for questions, I'll be shortening up my presentation on this to allow more questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I should say the next presenter, Miss Audrey Mwala, is here and present.
Okay.
So let's have about 8 more minutes for this presentation, and then we'll transition over to Miss Audrey Mwala.
Wonderful.
Correct, Dr. Lambert, I agree with you. So I'll be ending from here just to allow a bit of some, questions. Yeah, internet, Professor has already said it has got some with challenges, and this is one of them, but we still have to soldier on. Yeah. So I'm just interested to talk about the 4 SDGs on tourism. Number 1 SDG is that tourism can be linked to national poverty reduction strategies and entrepreneurship through low skills requirements and local recruitment. And number 2, tourism can spur sustainable agriculture by promoting production, supplies to hotels, and sales of local products to the tourists, which is very true. Number 3 is the tax income generated from tourism and the visitors' fees collected in protected areas can be reinvested in healthcare and other services. And number 4, capacity and skills needs to be built to ensure that the tourism sector can prosper it. Now already, when you talk about these 4 SDGs under tourism, they can accelerate the economy of whatever country, whether it's a high income country, middle or lower, or those which are classified as highly indebted poor countries, which are under HIPIC. So these are SDGs that I have just mentioned. they are a driver to most of these issues that we are talking about today. In the absence of tourism, more jobs might not be created and there'll be more poverty because a good country is one which rides on production. If you have got good or high production, you are assured of the GDP, meaning that your GDP is going to be good. From there, you are able to create jobs. Youths and women ought to be included, and also the special needs. We have been sidelining the special needs because we feel that there is little that they can do. We feel that there's little that they can contribute to these SDGs. But here under SDG number 4, we are saying that capacity and skills needs to be built to ensure that the tourism sector can prosper and provide jobs, opportunities for youths, women, and those with special needs. Dr. Lambert, I'll end from here, I think, to allow questions, though I know that we'll be able to share these slides. I must apologize to our participants. I think the internet just this time, not any other, it has really let me down. But SDG number 8 talks about decent work opportunities in tourism, particularly for youths and women, and policies that favor better diversification through tourism value chains can enhance tourism in socio-economical impact. Sustainable tourism can engage local population, contribute to urban renewal and rural development. Tourism stakeholders can play a critical role in leading in fighting climate change by reducing their can help foster multicultural and interfaith tolerance and understand and peace in post-conflict countries. I know that there is a participant who asked, Professor Mwenda on, how do we, sustain education where we've got wars and so forth. And who is responsible for this? What is responsible tourism and who is responsible? Here we are saying that sustainability is the goal and responsible tourism, which means that how can tourism be made more sustainable? One, we need innovation and disruption, buildings rather than destroying the 3 pillars of sustainability. The complexity increased through multiple sectors, not only who's responsible, but also to whom and for what is tourism responsible for. The next slide. We can go to the next slide, Dr. Lambert. What are these systems thinking? A systems thinking, a system that is interconnected to, thank you. So you can see there how this picture is looking, a system approach that responds to tourism, wicked problems, complex and integrated tourism system. We need the long-term rather than short-term view. An example of the system thinking can be found there. I'm sure I will be able to share the slide. The next slide, Dr. Lambert. The next slide, Dr. Lambert. Okay. So in summary, we are saying that the future depends on inter and intra-generation sustainability challenges. Okay, we have a case study there. I'm sure you can be able to see our beautiful Kafue National Park. Very, very beautiful. So I'm inviting each one of you to visit Zambia to come and have fresh air. And the 2 questions there. Describe and discuss the relevant UN Sustainable Development Goals in relation to this case study. What case study are we looking at? Kafue National Park. Question number 2. To what extent do you agree with the critique of conservation for development I've heard at some point pertaining to government issuing in the licensing for the mining industry, but I'm sure for now that has been put to a halt. So we want to see whether if government is going to actually issue the mining license in the tourism national park or areas which have been gazetted, how are we going to deal with these issues pertaining into the environment? I want to thank each one of you for listening, though my internet, And I know I have interrupted the presentation ends, and I only have 4 minutes to respond to those questions to allow the next speaker.
Thank you very much, Dr. Victor Chanza. And without further ado, let's move quickly to Biwunji Mubiru, who's been waiting to ask a question. Go ahead, Biwunji. Biwunji Mubiru. We are losing Biwunji as well, apparently. So let's move quickly to Forbes Kangwere. Forbes, for your question, please. You may remove the presentation, Dr. Lambert, so that we can see Forbes or other participants who want to ask questions. Forbes, go ahead, turn your microphone on, please.
Thank you, Doctor. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to add on the presentation. Thank you, Dr. Chan, for the good presentation. I think maybe we may also need to include the 4th pillar of sustainability, which is the human, which is also so critical when it comes to the issues of sustainability. You know, when we talk of economic development, the social support, we also talk about investments that anchor into education, investments that anchor into the issues of health, access to services, the issues of food and nutrition. And I think those pertain to the need to sustain the human capital. And as has been shown from the SDGs that were highlighted by Mr. Chan, I think we can see that most of them also have a bearing on the sustainability of the human capital, which is something so critical as well when it comes to the aspect of economic sustainability, economic development. In most cases, most industries, most nations, it has been noted that at times the human capital is not much taken into consideration. Most economies develop based on infrastructure investments, and some of those issues leaving behind the human capital, which possesses the necessary skills, the necessary knowledge. So my own contribution is to say that we need to also put the emphasis on the 4th pillar of sustainability, which is the human. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comment, Forbes. Although we could consider a human entity as a 4th pillar, but I would tend to consider that one of the pillars mentioned by Dr. Victor Chanza already includes human capital, because society, remember, society, we humans are the ones who get together to form society. So my understanding is that that subset of human capital is already part of the 1st pillar, which is society. But let's move real quick now to the 2nd participant with a question. Ernest Yeboah, go ahead, please. It's your turn.
Thank you, Samuel, for this opportunity. And I'm happy about this presentation, looking at the 3 pillars of sustainability: the economy, the society, and the environment. Now, when you look at SDG 4, talk about education, and I know AIU principle is leaving no one behind in terms of educational disparity. And based on the previous speaker, Professor Kenneth, what the AIU and then World strategy in order to bring education to some of private countries or communities, especially a place like South Sudan. I know a number of AIU students are there, but connectivity is one of the major challenges within that country. What is AIU strategy in order to bring everyone on board in terms of leaving no one behind? Thank you.
I guess this is not a question for Dr. Chenza, but Dr. Lambert, do you want to jump in now?
Well, I think because of the time, we should now transition over to the next speaker, Ms. Audrey Imwala.
I fully agree, but it's very unfortunate again, ladies and gentlemen, that we are not really able to accommodate more questions as you know, we have a commitment with all the presenters who had their time slots for their presentation. But anyway, we are very, very grateful to Dr. Victor Chanza. We are all aware of the technology-based challenges that you had to overcome. But we thank you very, very, very much. Your presentation, of course, will remain valuable to the entire group of participants. The recording will be there for all of you if you want to refresh your understanding or memory about the content of Dr. Chanza's presentation. Thank you very much again, Doctor.
And I want to say thank you to Dr. Chanza for all the work helping to organize this symposium.
Yes, yes. That's a truly outstanding participation. God bless you, Dr. Chenza.